What's up, guys? Today I want to give you 5 simple steps that will help you hopefully land your first rental property. So let's dive right into things. Okay, so step number 1 is to first define what your budget and your goal is. Money-wise, you need to know, what do you have available to invest or currently on hand? And then what is the budget you can afford between the down payment, the expenses on a monthly basis, as well as the repair cost to getting the property to where it needs to be. You next need to decide what's your goal, because in real estate alone, there's so many things you can invest in. You've got land development, you've got commercial space, you've got multifamily, maybe it's a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex, and then you have large multifamily. And then you have where a lot of people begin, and this is where I began, which is single family homes. So there's so many different things you can invest in real estate. Each has its pros and cons, and each might align differently with you and your strategy based on where you're at in your life. So define your strategy. Now, I recommend in the beginning, when you're first getting into investing in real estate, try to form some foundation level of understanding. And there's so many resources for you to do that. You've got different podcasts online. A favorite podcast of mine is Bigger Pockets. There's different books you can read. Rental investing strategies. You've got buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat, which is a fantastic book. And it's called The BRRRR Method. And then heck, there's even local network group meetings you can attend in your area if you just jump on Facebook and try to dive in and find one. Get used to using things like a mortgage calculator that help you figure out what the monthly mortgage payment would be, or the tax in your area, or the insurance on a property of that price. And there's a lot of free ones online that you can use at your disposal. Step number 2 is to research your market. You now need to choose a location. Now, in the beginning, I do suggest maybe staying close to where you are, especially if you're going to be hands-on with the property. That can be 30 minutes, an hour away, but it allows you to run over there and fix a problem or show the property to potential renters. As you scale your portfolio, this will be less of a requirement because you'll probably contract out a lot of those responsibilities to a third party. If you're not going to invest close to where you are, that's totally fine, but I do maybe suggest looking at markets where you've spent time. Maybe it's where you grew up or spent years of your career, as you'll have a little bit better understanding for that market. If not, just do your research on the market. Analyze the market. Whether it's close to home, far away, wherever it is, understand what do the rents look like? What's vacancy look like? And where's the potential for growth? Where are those jobs coming in? And then lastly, I would suggest network with locals, both real estate agents, investors, other landlords, as they'll be able to share some very valuable insights that can help you avoid some downfalls and some potential problems. The third step is to secure financing. You need to know what your credit score is. The better your credit score, the better the terms will be on the loan you get. Now, I suggest talking to a licensed mortgage officer or loan officer in the state you plan to invest in. They'll help you be able to determine if you pre-qualify for a home, how much you pre-qualify for, and the interest rate you would be looking at. The last thing you want to do is spend a ton of time looking at a property, maybe spending some money to inspecting a property, or even putting down earnest money on a property that you don't qualify for. And then lastly, you need to determine, are you going to do an FHA loan or a conventional loan? Now, if you're not going to live in the property, you'd have to do a conventional loan. That requires you come up with 20% of the down payment as a down payment on the purchase price of the home. An FHA loan only requires you come up with 3.5% as a down payment on the home. But it also requires that you live in the home. So you might want to consider an FHA loan if you're looking at doing some house hacking or living in part of the home and renting out the other part of the home. After a year, you can move out of the home, and that's okay, but you'd have to live in the home for the first year. Step number 4, find the right property. So this is where we get to the fun stuff. This is where you're actually taking properties on the market and running them through your equations to determine One, what does the cash flow look like? Does this property generate enough steady income to cover its expenses, the mortgage payment, the repair cost, all of the different things that you're going to maybe be responsible for as the owner of the property? And then bring this back to step number one of setting your goals and determine what's the return on investment you would be looking for. Inspect the property. Go out to the property if possible, and go out with a trusted inspector and look at the condition the property's in, walk the property, determine the potential repairs that need to be done, determine the location, if you like the location, if you question the location, and what maybe appeal it might have to potential renters. And then lastly, use the 1% rule. Now, the 1% rule is not an end-all be-all when it comes to determining whether a rental property makes sense or an investment property, but it's a very good standard to follow. And that goes as this: the gross monthly rent a property generates must be equal to or greater than 1% of the purchase price of the property plus any required repairs to the property. So that would look like a $100,000 property needs to be generating at least $1,000 per month in rent in order to make sense. Step 5, close the deal and manage the property. At this point, you've done all your homework. You know what your budget is, you've looked at the market, you've determined a location, you've even secured financing and know what you qualify for. You've went out, you found what you think is the right property, you've ran the numbers, and everything's checking out. So go close the deal. Go meet with the seller and negotiate a price you both can agree on. After you've closed the deal, you now need to decide, are you going to manage the property or hire a property management company? If you're going to manage the property, you need to start advertising it on Zillow, Rentler, Facebook, or any other rental platforms that will get your property out in front of the eyes of potential tenants. Then you need to start screening those tenants. Look at their income, their credit score, their renter history. Make sure you're getting the right tenants in your rental property, because this is super critical to avoiding problems down the road because you lowered your standard. If you've done all of those things, the best advice I ever received when I first got into accumulating rental properties was, once you close on the deal, you have to make it work. You do all your homework in advance, you do all your due diligence to make sure you're betting on the best piece of property you can put your eyes and money on, and then you have to make it work. Things will come up, problems will arise, I guarantee it, but you make it work. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and we will see you